A thread by Carlos Osuida for Wardog 3624. You pointed me toward this funny article by a retired admiral warning us about things that President Trump was on long before he became president. From Bloomberg.com, 6 ways the U.S. isn't ready for wars of the future. From the article, quote, what are the key areas in which the U.S. must invest to prepare for deterrence and combat operations in the 21st century? Artificial intelligence. There will be an increasingly seamless merger of AI and autonomous mechanical systems as we collectively work through the degree to which we will be content to take the person out of the loop in combat decision-making and operations. Already done. From DW.com, U.S. military adopts ethical AI guidelines. Lots of idiots don't understand how AI works when it comes to weapons. These idiots are what we call scientists. The idea is not to let the autonomous weapon choose the target. The idea is to let the autonomous weapon carry out the strike. Previously, every step of the way had to be approved by military lawyers. Tons of people got away because lawyers could not make up their minds about whether or not to allow a terrorist to be killed. What we want are systems in which lawyers are taken out of the loop. Here's a video. A terrorist is identified in a crowd. Nobody shoots at him, but a kamikaze nanodrone with a fuel-air explosive circles overhead. The nanodrone knows when to attack in order to spare innocent lives. The second that the terrorist, a member of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, steps out of the crowd, but before he enters the second crowd, the kamikaze nanodrone hits him right behind his head. The account was deleted, but I have the video. All right, so let's take a look. From LiveLeak, obviously. I think Carlos is referring to this guy, so let's take a look frame by frame. Bam, okay. One crowd here, one crowd here. I think this is our terrorist. Oh, see, Carlos points him out. There he is. Oh, okay. So do we see what's happening here? Okay, let's move on to the next tweet. The explosive vapor was ejected from the nanodrone and then detonated from the outside in. It was a massive blast wave that went inward, squishing the guy. Only AI could do that, but humans still mark the target. It's not a problem. Back to the article. Quote, an entirely different level of AI will drive swarm systems that can put hundreds of thousands of sensors or weapons to use in an autonomous fashion, end quote. Already done. From Forbes.com, U.S. Army's new drone swarm may be a weapon of mass destruction. From the article, quote, just as the military has created an official space force, it must now create a cyber force. Already done. From cybercom.mil about history. Quote, finding the right public-private mix in space will be crucial to national defense. Already done. Spacenews.com, military turns to private sector for rapid space innovation. Quote, if the coronavirus pandemic has taught us nothing else, it is that we should respect the potential for biology to change all of our lives in an instant, end quote. For God's sake, Trump has only been talking about this since January. From Forbes, Coronavirus Business Tracker, how the private sector is cooperating with the public sector. Quote, alongside all the high technology improvements, one trend in 21st century defense will be reassuringly human, the continued use of special forces. Already done. from defensenews.com, how a 5-year U.S. Special Ops plan will transform the force. Bloomberg paid that guy to tell them what we need to do. He simply told them what Trump has already done, and Bloomberg was happy. When does the brain fog lift? How many people will fall over dead if they admit that Trump is our best president? You can still love Obama, but being totally deranged when it comes to Trump isn't going to change anything except for your own brain. It's going to keep atrophying. Just face reality. Trump is magnificent. Why is that a problem? It's not his fault that nobody else stacks up. This isn't Scandinavia. We don't live under the law of Yanta. Not conforming, doing things out of the ordinary, or being overtly personally ambitious is unworthy and inappropriate. The 10 rules. You're not to think you're anything special. You're not to think you're as good as we are. You're not to think you're smarter than we are. You're not to imagine yourself better than we are. You're not to think you know more than we do. You're not to think that you're more important than we are. You're not to think that you're good at anything. You're not to laugh at us. You're not to think anyone cares about you. You're not to think you can teach us anything. I miss virtuosity. That's why I've been catching up. Remember Jerry Reed wearing the cat cap from Smokey and the Bandit? Well, Reed was one of the greatest session guitarists who ever lived. People my age love virtuosity. It doesn't alienate us. I'm sick to death of mediocrity. Trump is a virtuoso, and that's why so many people hate him. Well, I refuse to join the herd. I'll watch Jerry Reed and enjoy every second of him without feeling anything but happiness. That used to be normal.